for tuning in to another Tucson Local. My name is Kim, and this is my co-host Tova, and we are here today at Cake Lab, located at 4th on 4th. And this is the co-owner, and his name is Eyal.
Hi guys.
Hi.
So,
this is awesome to get to be someplace where there's food. I mean, I am so excited about this because they're a bakery. Gluten-free bakery. Now, where'd you guys get started?
I started baking when I was in college. I worked at Sam's Club, I worked at grocery stores. I ended up in Boston working as a wedding cake designer. And then I was diagnosed with celiac disease. So at that point, I transferred to Foods, where they allowed me to experiment with gluten-free baking and vegan baking. And about 6 months ago, we got this space, and we've been working to open this space up ever since.
Awesome. Now, you guys are both owners, but I bet nobody knows that siblings here. We have a couple siblings.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool that they can work together under a very small space, because it's pretty small here, but it's great. It's just big enough.
It is just big enough.
okay, so tell me, you started off baking on the East Coast, and then how recently did you come here to Tucson?
I've lived in Tucson for 2 years.
And I just got here actually 8 weeks ago, so
And you did.
I'm
Do you
completely
like
new.
it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
You missed the summer.
Yeah, well, it's actually a lot nicer here now that it's winter.
I bet. Yeah, it is really nice in Tucson. Okay, so you started off on the East Coast doing cake decorating, and then you were diagnosed with celiac disease?
Celiac,
So
yeah.
tell me a little bit about that.
I had been sick for quite some time. I was trying to find out what was wrong with me. I felt constant pain. I felt weak. My body was in this kind of shock where I would faint often. I was hospitalized a few times a month. And then we found I had celiac disease. After going on a gluten-free diet, about 6 weeks later, I felt better than I had felt before I felt sick, which I think meant I'd been sick with celiac without even knowing it, and I had just assumed that that's normal.
Normal. So celiac disease and gluten are linked then together.
Yeah, celiac disease is an allergy. It's an autoimmune disease, so it's not exactly an allergy, but it's an allergy to gluten, which is a protein in wheat, rye, and barley.
Right. And that's great because you work with cakes.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of posed a little bit of a problem then for you, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, and so then you backed up, regrouped, and went to Whole Foods, and they let you do like what kind of experiments?
Well, they allowed me to pretty much work with any kind of alternative diet that I wanted. The customers of Whole Foods are very similar to our customers.
Sure.
So there was separately dairy-free, gluten-free, full-out vegan, soy-free, and sugar-free. And sometimes people would have multiple allergies. So, I've actually made a cake before that is sugar-free, soy-free, dairy-free, and there's one more, vegan. and
What's left?
Um,
What's left after that?
it was, but it was still,
Me.
but it was still a cake.
Okay, so what I would like to know is the difference between an actual celiac and someone who is merely intolerant, because sometimes people start throwing around the word allergic too liberally, and you know they think, oh, I'm allergic, but can you point out the difference? You know, so
Yeah.
some people may actually get an idea that they may be intolerant to it.
Yeah.
What different kinds of manifestations happen?
Yeah, it's so for me, it's actually hard to say what it feels like to be intolerant. I imagine that being allergic to something is like the way we think of a peanut allergy, where your throat closes up, and so there's that. Intolerant, I am assuming you just don't feel well when you eat it, and then the more you kind of start eating more of it, then you end up feeling worse and worse.
Okay.
But celiac disease is an autoimmune disease, so what happens is when you get gluten into your system, there are little hair-like projections on your intestines, and the body attacks them. And what they actually do is absorb nutrients from food. They actually also move everything along, so you can end up with a lot of problems. They end up flattening out, so you can end up feeling anything between diarrhea and constipation. When I get sick, it feels like a coal fire's being lit in my lower gut. It's horribly painful, but at the same time, you also get malnutrition, so you lose the ability to really think clearly, all the things I was talking about earlier in the show. And
Wow.
yeah, there's so many, and I think people feel there's a spectrum of how you feel,
Sure.
but it's all really bad.
Sure. Because Kim, you feel, I mean, you're gluten intolerant. And how does it manifest itself in your
It gives
Your
you
body.
like cloudy thinking, for one thing. You have like this sluggish, like almost like you're walking underwater kind of a thing. But then
Wow.
you'll get rashes. Like sometimes
Okay.
I'll get a rash on my leg, or really, well, we won't discuss it. But things happen to your face that Proactive can't help you with. And it's
Adult.
just, yeah.
acne?
Gluten acne,
Gluten acne.
that exists for sure.
Just get this general overall feeling of being unwell, but I'd say the worst
Okay.
is like the repercussions it wreaks on your skin
Okay.
and your ability to think.
Okay, very
for
interesting.
intolerance.
Yeah, so that gives everyone a little bit of idea, you know, the difference between, you know, full-on celiac disease and an intolerance. Now let's get to the good part. Okay, so what I want to know is barley, oat, is it barley, oat, and wheat?
It's rye, barley, and wheat, and
Okay,
unfortunately,
rye, barley,
oats actually don't contain gluten, but it has to do with the facilities they're processed in being
Okay.
cross-contaminated.
Okay,
Yeah.
so rye,
So for
barley,
now,
and
you
wheat.
you can get gluten-free oats, and all that means is they've been processed in a different facility, in a
Okay.
dedicated facility.
Okay, so those are the three things you don't work with. What do you work with?
Right.
Now, how do you substitute all those fabulous gluten-y things in your baking?
Yeah, it's taken a lot of experimentation, and actually, my little brother here is the baker. Maybe he wants to.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's
Dale's the baker, so
Yeah,
fill
it-
us in.
It's basically a combination of like a tapioca flour and potato starch, and there's also different kinds of brown rice and white rice flours, and then you combine all of those,
Great.
and then that can basically replace your typical wheat flour.
Okay, so your binding flour is, would that be the tapioca?
Yeah, so the tapioca
Potato?
and also xanthan gum.
Potato.
We can't reveal all our ingredients. We do have.
Secret recipe.
Passed down from generation
Oh,
to
yeah, yeah.
generation.
Yeah, for sure.
Generation goes, we've been gluten intolerant for centuries.
So why do you think we're seeing more and more people who are gluten intolerant?
I have some guesses. I'm not really sure. What a lot of people say is that as time goes on, we end up having more and more wheat in our diet. And I think medical advances are allowing for testing blood tests without colonoscopies and biopsies to find these things out. So it's potentially possible that people weren't diagnosed before because A, there weren't the medical devices or the ability to test so easily, and B, maybe we didn't used to eat as much wheat, and therefore people didn't feel as bad. Because for me, if say I was sick with celiac before I actually knew it, it's only when I would eat a lot of wheat that it was a real problem for me. So then
Right.
at that point I'd end up in the hospital. So we don't think a lot about what we eat, and when we feel bad, we don't think about what we ate yesterday, we think about the last meal we had.
Right.
I also
Right.
think that like there's more awareness of gluten intolerance and celiac disease than there used to be in the past. So somebody who might not have felt well after eating breads just never considered an association between the
Between the
gluten that
two.
they're eating and the
Yeah.
how they're feeling afterwards.
Yeah.
And you know, I think just one more thing is that the symptoms of celiac disease match up with the symptoms of a lot of other diseases, most of them autoimmune,
Right.
but specifically thyroid disease.
Right.
And you know, before I was diagnosed, I was sent to a neurologist to talk about potential MS. I was actually diagnosed with thyroid disease, when I went to webmd.com and read the symptoms, I was sure I'd been correctly diagnosed because they are exactly the same. So I think anything that causes you malnutrition and causes your body to attack itself potentially could manifest the same symptoms.
Right, so like a
Interesting.
misdiagnosis. Because I know we've got this whole move to be healthy, and we've got this whole move to like take out your bleached, enriched white, you know, like breads, for example. And then so you pick up a loaf of wheat bread, and I thought, well, I'm going to have wheat because something's going on here. But then you look at it, and there's wheat flour in it. So you actually, if you're kind of going from the frying pan to the fire, in that kind of a way. So you have to read your labels and make sure that if you are having any of the symptoms that she described, you don't see wheat flour. It's one of the culprits, right? So you have to try to eliminate that type of stuff from your diet. Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back. Okay, so is there some type of organization then that you're affiliated with, or you know, would like to talk about in regards to
Yeah,
celiac disease?
we're actually in the process of being certified by a company called Gluten Free You and Me out of Colorado, and then the other national foundation is called the Celiac Disease Foundation, which we actually participated in their expo on the 17th. And for web resources, I find that the Celiac Forum is amazing. So you type in your questionable product, celiac disease, and forum. And what you end up with is someone who called a company, and then what the company responded, and a whole bunch of people responding about how they felt about the product.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so those
Awesome.
are two notable things there to look out if you want to be gluten-free or are gluten-free. Okay, so then that brings you all here to Tucson, near the university with a bakery. And it's a bakery, but you serve breakfast and lunches as well?
We do. We make we make our own bread loaves. We offer a rosemary infused, a olive, jalapeno, and a 3 cheese. 3 of which are dairy free. Guess which one isn't? Yeah, it's these guys.
These are these guys right here.
Yeah, and we use those those sandwich breads to make sandwiches. We make breakfast sandwiches and lunch sandwiches. One of our sandwiches at this point is on the dairy-free bread and is a Mediterranean hummus sandwich, which we make the hummus here. And we use fresh vegetables and artichoke hearts. And so that one is a dairy-free sandwich at this point.
Sounds good to me. Okay, sign me up. Okay, how about, let's get to the really good, cool holiday stuff. So this is all wonderful. You have to point out what all this stuff is.
Yeah.
I love the poinsettia cookies.
Oh, thank you. So
Poinsettia cookies, those are beautiful.
So we make sugar cookies, can be decorated for any theme or any holiday. We charge $3 a piece for them. We've got the pecan bars, which can
Yum.
actually be made in a round shape for the holiday to be a pecan pie.
Okay.
This is our pumpkin and banana breads that my awesome brother here bakes. We make.
Hale's the baker.
He's the
right?
baker.
Yeah, and she decorates.
And
I just
you're the
decorate.
creative
I'm
decorator.
nothing here
Yeah.
without him.
You're not.
Aw, that's so nice.
Exactly. If it weren't for Ahal,
And we
we
got
wouldn't
that
have
on
anything
tape,
to
so
decorate.
I wish I could say the
Otherwise-
same. But
Yeah, he would exist without me. His stuff just won't be beautiful. And, I mean, that's an option if he wants that.
yeah. So actually, I'm opening up a bakery across the street.
It's called the Ugly Cake Lab. It's our only competition here in town.
See, they feed off each other very well. They work very well together.
We're starting a comedy show pretty soon.
And this beauty right here, what's
Oh,
that?
okay. So this is a cherry chocolate cake with cherry frosting and white chocolate shavings around the outside.
Now, how did you get the cherries on top? How did you come about the cherries being on top of the little pink things?
Oh,
Wink, wink.
cute.
No, simply swirl.
Yeah, I took my hands
Yeah.
and placed them right where I wanted them, and then I
I
let
don't know what
go.
she's talking about. It's so weird.
Have you ever seen one of those claw machines at the mall? It's like that.
Except you do it with your own hands. Yeah.
Okay.
That wasn't. I was serious. Okay, and we also have some fudge balls. We have
No one else knows what's going on.
Yeah.
we have our
Truly
3-color, our ganache drizzle, our heath. We make toasted coconut ones. Basically, it's a what would you call it? A fudge ball?
Yeah, so it's basically just a brownie with a buttercream mix to create a really rich inside center, and then there's a ganache on top, and then we drizzle it with either white chocolate or we put heath on top, and we have one now that's a tricolor with butterscotch and white chocolate.
Awesome.
Yeah, so other things that we have also, we make lemon bars, which can actually be made dairy-free or dairy-full. And this is a chocolate ganache cake with a vanilla buttercream inside,
Yay.
and chocolate jimmies around the outside.
And I'm not going to ask you how you put those roses on. Throw me under the bus. Wedding cake. We have a wedding cake.
Yes, we
here.
do.
Fabulous.
We do made-to-order cakes.
Yes,
I have a
right
portfolio of work that I've done.
Yeah.
If you come in.
Wait a minute.
If you come in, they have this great book. It's got pictures of everything you could possibly imagine, all the stuff they've done. So you can do, special order.
So what's cool about that is our special orders, we do anything from a small 6-inch, like this one right here, all the way to a full sheet. So we could basically accommodate anything from like a small 6 group or up to 100
And
people.
layer.
Yeah, we also do tiered cakes. We do tiered on top of each other like this, or we have special stands that hold the cakes differently. And yeah, you could basically order for a baby shower, an anniversary, a child's birthday, and small, simple adult cake to, fancy wedding
And for football
cakes.
weekend, if you're a beer drinker, they have a Corona cake in there.
We do.
Awesome.
It's like
Where's
a
that?
on page
It's in
3.
the book.
Is it? Oh, it's in the book. I'm like, where's that?
The Corona cake.
Show me.
Yeah, I'm like, let me take
Bottle of
that.
beer.
It doesn't taste like Corona, and Corona has gluten in it, so I don't recommend Corona.
But it can look like it.
Yeah, it
Tastes
can look
like
like
cake, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you make a vodka cake? Vodka has gluten in it.
Some vodka has gluten in it, unfortunately. That's why I stick with whiskey
Oh,
and
that's right,
gluten-free
because they
beers.
make a lot of alcohol out of grains.
Well, yeah, and vodka
Yeah,
is supposed
your
to be
wheat.
made of a lot of different sources. I guess
Beers,
there's potato.
wheats.
Yeah.
Potato.
Oh,
Yeah.
All of it. Yeah. See?
And now I have to drink whiskey.
Wow.
Whiskey's great.
I'm so glad I'm not gluten-free.
We should go out. We'll figure
Okay,
this out.
I'll take you up on that. We'll go out. You show me how great whiskey
I'll
is.
show you whiskey.
Nice.
Oh my God. Corn. And corn is gluten-free though, isn't
Corn
it?
is wonderful.
Corn is gluten-free.
Yeah, but not corn syrup. We don't like corn syrup.
Right. No, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm the pesky vegan in the group. So what can be veganized here and what can't?
So at this point, we make vegan cakes, vegan frostings. We can do cupcakes with frostings, and we've transitioned a few of our items to being dairy-free. And the next step will be for us to do vegan stuff. Why don't you tell us what is your
Yeah,
order?
so we already have dairy-free breads, as we already talked about. So I think the next
Okay.
step will be converting those breads, the bread loaves and the pumpkin bread. We're probably going to be testing that out vegan with egg replacers instead of eggs. So that's
Okay.
basically the last step of converting a dairy-free product into vegan. So
Awesome.
we've had a lot of requests for that, and we're definitely excited to try it out.
Yeah.
Great.
After our breads, we'll probably move on to whatever the next step is. Maybe the fudge balls.
Okay, so breads, normally, because see, I love to do a lot of baking too. Breads you can do vegan very easily.
Yeah.
Because most breads don't have eggs, most of them, and you can substitute butter. So what would be your non-vegan bread? What would go in there that would, just a savory bread? What would go in there that a vegan couldn't eat?
Oh, so our regular loaves right now have eggs. So they do have eggs. They don't have any butter. We use
Okay.
olive oil instead of butter.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Okay.
then basically we're already dairy-free at this point. But
Okay.
then the final step would basically just be replacing those
Olive oil.
eggs. Yeah. Well.
Sounds good.
Yeah, with egg
Awesome.
replacers.
I love the rosemary. That sounds like a great bread.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now you just
What
need
else?
carb-free.
Carb-free.
Carb-free bread.
Can't do it.
Bread-free bread is actually the next step.
Bread-free bread. I like that.
Carb-free frosting.
This guy's a real comedian.
Yeah, he's very
He
funny.
is.
That's-
Sense of humor.
So if someone comes in and let's just say they've got a multiple of allergies, and you're willing to accommodate them, right?
Absolutely.
And then how would you do that? Would they have to contact you ahead of time?
Yeah,
Or-
so we're trying to carry some items. What we really like doing is talking to somebody who is requesting an item or wants to place an order, and we test out what they're looking for. When we succeed and we think the product is good, we photograph it, put it on our Facebook, which is where most of our fans have been following us. And when you see the photo of what you requested on Facebook, it means it's a product that we carry daily. As something like what happened right before we started shooting, we had a man call yesterday whose wife is both vegan and gluten-free, and that's not a cake that we carried 2 days ago. So we took his order and we substituted out the eggs because we already had dairy-free cupcakes before. He came in to pick it up. He's got a vegan frosting, a vegan cake, and everything's obviously gluten-free. And what we did was, as soon as we saw that tasted good, we added those things to our case and photographed them this morning and put them up. So now if you're a vegan and you're looking for a cake, you know that you can come to Cake Lab and we carry at least the one we photographed and showed you today.
Nice. And did he say if he liked it, or have you heard back from him?
He seemed really happy. He only left about 15 or 20 minutes ago, so we won't hear back from him until he eats it, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really it's great because when people do those special orders, like we had a dairy-free lemon bar request a little while ago, and when those go successfully, we can then just offer those as a regular item. Now we have dairy-free lemon bars every day, so
Nice.
that's basically what we're doing. Is people come in, we had a sugar-free lemon bar request too, so people come in with specific requests, and we try to accommodate them as best as possible.
So what do you use for your sugar-free?
So it's actually stevia. Stevia is the
Stevia.
replacement for.
Okay.
Is that a plant?
Yeah, so
It
it's
is.
actually it's natural. It's a sugar-based. It's a plant-based. I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for diabetics is what they say.
Good. Good.
Exactly. I've heard of it.
Yeah,
of it.
no,
A lot of
because-
people use it to sweeten their teas, coffees.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you just
Yeah.
have to be careful not to use too much because it does have an aftertaste, but not only after a certain point. So just add it slowly and just be careful.
And be careful.
Yep.
And that's why we leave it to the experts here at Cake Lab.
All these goodies that you offer here, do you have something, do you have like a menu or something online? I know you've got a Facebook.
We have our
and-
Facebook with photos. We've only been open for 3 weeks at this point, and we're really close to having our menu finished.
Okay.
The main situation is as soon as it's finished, we suddenly have a new item available. So I think what we're going to have is an editable menu where it will be changed as time
Edible
goes
or
on.
editable?
Editable. No, it's not like an edible menu, but that would be
Since it keeps getting edited,
possible.
edible.
You know, on a piece of fondant, you can just roll it out right in
Right,
frosting.
right.
It could be an edible menu.
idea.
Then we can get rid of it when we want to make a change to the menu.
True.
But it's actually going to be a paper menu, editable.
Editable.
Yeah,
So that's
Got
kinda
it.
cool.
the ability to edit.
Okay.
Yes.
You're developing, you're kind of like developing a product through service based on, you know, what, according to people's needs. And you don't really find that. I mean, you can't really walk into a bakery and say, look, I'm vegan, gluten, and diabetic.
And dysfunctional.
And no carbs. Exactly. Can you make me a cake?
I also really hate my husband. What can you do for me?
Do you have one of those cakes? Oh, sorry.
There's
So,
so
yeah.
many different.
Well, the thing is that we're so small that we have the opportunity to add and subtract items. Definitely, as a celiac, I didn't realize that so many people with intolerances to wheat also share an intolerance to dairy. That wasn't something that
Right.
was obvious to me. And
Right.
so, since the replacement doesn't really affect the taste, that is a pretty easy thing for us to start substituting one item at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy for us. We just basically use instead of milk and almond milk, and instead of butter, earth balance. So I mean,
there's
so many
so
people came
many.
in requesting that it was just obvious for us that we had to make a change.
Yeah, we estimate that 20 to 30% of our first 3-week clientele is also dairy-free.
Yeah.
So that's an obvious transition we need to make.
So many dairy substitutes out there nowadays.
Yeah, and they're
There really
good.
are.
They're really
Yeah,
good.
And it's great. It seems like you guys are super business friendly. It's like you're never going to turn anyone away.
Mm-mm.
You'll work on it. You know, it's like good business. You know, so
Yeah.
it sounds like they're really, really eager to, you know, do any kind of a, you know, leave this out, leave that out.
Yeah,
Never
we're,
going to turn anyone
we
away.
understand what you're going through. We
Yeah.
go through it too. So whatever you need, if we can do it, we'll do anything you want, for sure.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's
So
what I
what
meant.
is your
They'll
web-
try anything twice.
Tell me your website information.
Our website is at www.cakelabtucson.com. That will forward you to our Facebook page.
And they've got over 800 Facebook likes. So go on ahead, go on there, and click the little thumbs up button so that they can have more than that. Is your contact information, like phone number and stuff, in there on there as well?
Definitely.
Okay, so if you need a wedding cake, if you need any kind of cake, you just want something sweet and you need something that's gluten-free, or even just some friendly people who are more than happy to accommodate you in whatever your issues are, go ahead and come on in. They're down 4th and 4th, like I said, down here near the university, and they are more than happy to help you. What are your hours?
We are open Tuesday to Friday, 9 to 4, and Saturday, 10 to 5. We close on Sunday and Monday. And I'd just like to add that we are a 100% gluten-free facility. There is no gluten entering or exiting this facility, because to exit, you would have had to enter.
So thank you for tuning in to Tucson Local. Once again, we'll see you next week, same time, same location. And this is Kim and Daphna and Tova.
And y'all.
Signing off.
Hey, y'all.
Hi guys, welcome to Cake Lab. Come on in.
about this Cake Lab, go to our website at www.tucsonlocalbusinesses.com, and then we will forward you to them as well. So again, same time next week, same place. We'll see you later.
Same bat
Bye.
channel,
Bye.
Same bat channel.